Well, the latest edition of the Garden Show has come to a close, and great weather this past week. Can't complain.
No, been very nice, very seasonal weather, a little bit cooler. We're starting to get a lot of dew at night, so good time to start thinking about putting down new grass seed if you have areas that are a little bit bare. Also, good time to start thinking about putting down some sort of a weed and feed or spray for weeds. We're getting a lot of buckhorn, and some of those weeds are starting to germinate, so it's a good time to spray for weeds and control your broadleaf weeds in your lawn.
Did have a couple of questions about transplanting. One was peonies.
Yeah, peonies, a little early to transplant them. Probably about the first part of September is a good time to do it. But when you transplant the peony, make sure you set it just a little bit high, because if you plant it at the existing ground level or slightly low, it'll take anywhere from 3 to 10 years before it blooms.
And also a question about fertilizing and trimming back Rose of Sharon and walnuts.
Yes. With walnuts, you don't want to prune them this time of year. You want to wait until they're dormant before you prune. That can cause insect and disease problems if you prune them now. Fertilize them in October. And with the Rose of Sharon, you go by the rule that anything that has a blooming shrub, you prune it right when it's done blooming. And those will bloom right up till frost. So basically when we get into October or November, you can prune them back roughly 1/3, or if you want to do it in February of next year, you can do it then.
Well, the long stretch of not having any precipitation is really starting to take its toll, and pretty much everybody in lower Michigan is in drought status.
Yeah, and if you have things that have been newly planted within the last 3 to 5 years, trees or shrubs, anything like that, it's a good idea to water. Even if it's not newly planted, things like Japanese maples and some of those more tender plants, your rhododendrons, your azaleas, things like that, should really get some water right now, because that's going to give them the strength to make it through the winter.
And speaking of newer trees, we had somebody that planted a dogwood that needed some water, but also a little bit of help beyond that.
Yeah, it looked like it was a little bit droughty, so it needed to be watered, but also it had grass growing right up to the root. And you really want to have a nice ring of mulch around those, because they really like that better than having grass growing right up to the bark.
Well, we're expecting some rain on Monday. Don't know how much, but what are some of the things that we need to look into this week, especially when the heat returns?
Well, any time you start getting heat and moisture like this, you're going to start to see the diseases develop, especially with the dew at night. So you're going to start to see blight coming on your tomatoes. You're going to see downy mildew on your cucumbers and cantaloupes and melons and things like that. So you may want to spray those with a fungicide like Doconil. Remember to spray as close to dark as you can, because that's when the diseases are working.
All right, sounds good. We'll do it all again next week.
All right, see you then.